In the quiet, cobblestone town of Fall River, Massachusetts, the summer of 1892 baked the streets in heat and suspicion. Among the neat rows of houses stood a modest two-story home that was destined to become one of the most whispered about houses in American history. Inside lived Lizzie Borden, 32 years old, and unmarried, a Sunday school teacher by reputation, a spinster by society's standards, and possibly something far darker beneath. Lizzie lived with her father, Andrew Borden, a wealthy but notoriously frugal man, whom Lizzie had a strained relationship with, and her stepmother, Abby Borden, whom Lizzie resented deeply. The house was a coffin of silence. No running water. And no gaslight. The air inside was thick with unsaid things. And then on the morning of August 4, 1892, the silence was shattered. Just before 11 a.m., the maid of the household, and one of Lizzie's closest companions, Bridget Sullivan, heard Lizzie scream from downstairs, stating that her father was dead, and that someone had killed him. Andrew Borden laid on the sitting room couch, his face unrecognizable, split open with an axe. 10 blows, possibly even more. Blood soaked the walls, the furniture, and the floor beneath him. Then, they found Abby Borden, upstairs, face down in the guest bedroom. Killed hours earlier. Struck 18 times in the back of the head. The weapon used was a hatchet wiped clean and tucked away in the basement. The town of Fall River was stunned. Who would commit such an insane act? And yet all in broad daylight too. There were no signs of forced entry. Nothing stolen. No strangers seen. Only one woman had been in the house all morning. And that was Lizzie. She was calm. Too calm. Her answers shifted with each questioning. She'd been in the barn. She'd been ironing. She'd heard nothing. She'd seen a stranger. Then she hadn't. The police didn't quite know what to do with Lizzie. She was a church-going woman. Refined. Educated, and yet, behind her cool demeanor was something cold and hollow. They then arrested her. At trial, the courtroom buzzed with scandal. People were shocked by the gruesome details. Lizzie sat still, dressed in black, a fan in her hand, blinking slowly, as if the entire ordeal were a passing inconvenience. The evidence? Circumstantial. Her stories didn't match. She burned address days after the murders, claiming it was stained with paint. The murder weapon was a hatchet, the same weapon that her father used to kill her pet pigeons around 2 to 3 months before the murder took place. No one else but Lizzie had some type of motive. But there was no blood on Lizzie. No witnesses. No confession. But the jury, even with all the evidence given, found Lizzie as not guilty. Lizzie Borden walked free into legend with what is equal in today's time as $11.8 million. But Fall River never forgave her. The townspeople and children even came up with a new rhyme for what Lizzie had supposedly done. Lizzie Borden took an axe and gave her mother 40 whacks. When she saw what she had done, she gave her father 41. Of course, it wasn't 40 whacks. It wasn't even clear that she did it. In fact, there are rumors that it was the maid, or even Lizzie's uncle. As for several hours of the day, there were no documents or any proof of where he was. But the rhyme stuck, as did the suspicion. After the court case, Lizzie and her sister Emma moved into a grand house on the hill and named it Maplecroft. Emma left her sister years later from a combination of many different weird and suspicious aspects of Lizzie's social life. And Lizzie lived out her days alone. Lizzie Borden died in 1927, at age 66. No family beside her. No friends, just a few servants. At her funeral, only about a handful of people came. And when the last mourner left, they say the air in Fall River grew heavier. Like the house had exhaled, finally after holding its breath for decades. But the mystery lives on. Was Lizzie Borden a cold-blooded killer, driven by rage and resentment? Or wrongly accused woman, caught in a storm of Victorian misogyny and gossip? The truth lies buried beneath layers of time, sealed in silence. But sometimes on hot August days, when the sun burns the pavement and the air feels thick with unsaid things, people swear they can still hear the creak of floorboards and the soft fall of a hatchet. And in Fall River, the rhyme lives on, not just on playgrounds, but in the bones of the town itself. Lizzie Borden took an axe, and no one has truly put it down.